State of emergency in Pakistan. The president sends troops onto the streets blaming terrorists for pushing the country closer to crisis.
That inaction at this moment is suicide for Pakistan, and I cannot allow this country to commit suicide.
President Musharraf says he's acting in the interests of democracy. His critics say he's just trying to cling on to power by delaying an election. We'll have the latest. Also on the programme, firefighter tragedy, 1 dead, 3 missing, but it's too dangerous for rescuers to carry out a proper search of the still smouldering warehouse. And last gasp, Gallas. The Arsenal captain's injury time strike makes it honours even at the top of the Premiership. Good evening. The President of Pakistan is tonight being accused of imposing martial law and implementing a series of draconian measures just to reassert his dwindling authority. Pervez Musharraf has moved troops onto the streets and suspended the country's constitution. He says to curb a growing threat from Islamist extremists. In a national address, he warned Pakistan's sovereignty was at stake. Opposition leaders claim tonight he's trying to delay parliamentary elections. The president also appealed to America and Britain to show patience, but both have expressed grave concern. Chris Shipp has the latest.
Tonight on the streets of Pakistan, martial law. President Musharraf, the West's ally against Al-Qaeda in this part of the world, has put troops on the streets, taken private TV stations off air and suspended the constitution.
The Chief of Army Staff, President General Pervez Musharraf, has proclaimed a state of emergency in the country.
Government-run television announced the state of emergency, blaming the wave of militant attacks for the return of authoritarian rule. Hours later, the man whose position as both president and head of the army was starting to look untenable addressed the nation.
I personally, with all my conviction, and with all the facts available to me, consider that inaction at this moment is suicide for Pakistan.
In Islamabad, the Supreme Court judge who was preparing to rule on the legality of Musharraf's position was sacked tonight and escorted home by police. At Karachi Airport, Benazir Bhutto, opposition leader and former Prime Minister, was greeted by crowds of supporters. For them, she is the great hope for an end to military rule. Meanwhile, former cricketer turned politician Imran Khan was placed under house arrest minutes after these pictures were filmed.
There will be more militancy in the country. There will be more people picking up arms because he's blocked the legal and democratic channels through which people could express their views.
Anything that takes Pakistan off the democratic path, off the path of civilian rule, is a step backward, and it's highly regrettable.
Regrettable because the US and Britain need President Musharraf to see off the Taliban here. But this president is only clinging to power by sending his troops onto the streets. Chris Shipp, ITV News.
The search for 3 firefighters missing, feared dead after a fire at a warehouse is being hampered tonight by concerns the building may collapse. One of their colleagues died in hospital after he was pulled from the burning wreckage. It could prove to be the worst tragedy for the UK's fire service in 25 years. From Warwickshire, Rohit Khatri reports.
Tonight, search and rescue teams are preparing to go into the warehouse to discover what is inside. More than a day after the height of the fire, it still burns beyond the crumpled wreckage. The fire tore through the roof and left very little behind. Part of the building collapsed totally. While firefighters pour water, they can do little more. The frustrating reality, it is still too dangerous to go in to look for their missing colleagues. When the blaze broke out, it appeared to be only a limited fire. But this is the warehouse shortly after it fully took hold. 80 firefighters went in. 1 was critically injured and died in hospital. But 3 never returned on what Warwickshire's fire chief called a catastrophic night.
This is a tragic event, and our hearts and thoughts go out to those who have been affected by it, the family of the people who have suffered and also their colleagues within the service.
Every firefighter that turned out is a member of an extraordinary brotherhood who faced shared dangers and now shared anguish. What happened last night is what every one of them fears, and it hurts.
These are communities that are going to feel this very hard, and of course I was talking to some firemen from another little town down here called Bidford, and they know all these guys. You know, they all know each other, they're out on fires together the whole time, and you can tell they're very badly affected by it.
With flames still burning, a traumatised fire service has launched an investigation, asking itself whether yesterday's tactics were the right ones. Questions will be asked. Was the risk too great to send firefighters into the blazing warehouse? And did officers underestimate the potential of what at first seemed to be a small fire? Police believe the fire was started deliberately, and surely after a blaze this ferocious, there can be little hope that the missing have survived. Rohit Kachru, ITV News, Warwickshire.
6 months to the day since Madeleine McCann went missing, her parents have marked the occasion with a special church service. Kate and Jerry McCann said prayers for their daughter at a church in their hometown of Rothley in Leicestershire. From there, John Gilbert reports.
It's the anniversary they never wanted. 6 months to the very hour since they discovered Madeleine missing, Kate and Jerry McCann joined fellow parishioners at a special church service in honour of their daughter.
I really didn't think that we would be still here 6 months down the road, you know, still no sighting of Madeleine coming home. And it's hard, but, you know, we pray every day that she's coming home.
Today, the family released a fresh photograph of 4-year-old Madeleine. It was taken in a local park just 12 days before her disappearance and a week before their ill-fated holiday. In Praia de Luz, the Portuguese resort where Madeleine was last seen alive, another church service took place with another message of hope.
We're still waiting for her to come home. We haven't given up on her, and we're waiting to give her a big hug when she returns, and we're praying that that will happen.
Back in Rothley, Kate and Jerry McCann themselves prayed for more than an hour before leaving. Prayers so far unanswered. This was the McCanns' most high-profile public appearance since their return here from Portugal. And it was also a reminder that faith and hope for Madeleine's well-being remain in strong supply, even if hard evidence does not. John Gilbert, ITV News, Rothley.
Raging floodwaters are continuing to devastate southern Mexico, leaving almost 1 million people homeless. Thousands have been trapped on rooftops after torrential rain left most of the state of Tabasco underwater. Hundreds of thousands of people have already fled the area. Sport now. A global audience of 1 billion people is reported to have watched today's top-of-the-table clash in the Premier League. And old foes Arsenal and Manchester United didn't disappoint, serving up a 2-2 thriller. Richard Pallow watched the action.
This was just like old times. Arsenal and Manchester United head-to-head, with the Premier League top spot the prize. The first half only came to life, though, in injury time. Wayne Rooney's shot deflected in off William Gallas. But Arsenal's youngsters have been showing remarkable maturity lately, led by Cesc Fabregas. He's behaving more like a striker than a midfielder. This a remarkable 11th goal of his season. Rooney could have restored things to United's liking. Before the visitors' pressure finally told, Ronaldo putting them 2-1 up and Arsenal seemingly sliding to their first league defeat. But there was one more late twist, mayhem in the United area and one calm head on the touchline. An eagle-eyed linesman correctly ruling that Gallas' shot had crossed the line. So 2-2, a fractious finish and the most cursory of managerial handshakes. Yes, the old times are most definitely back. Richard Pallow, ITV News.
Great Britain's Rugby League side have delivered a record-breaking performance this evening. They thrashed New Zealand by 44 points to 0, their biggest ever win against them. The result means Great Britain hold an unassailable 2-0 lead in the series. Finally, carrying out running repairs miles above the Earth is never easy, but 2 American astronauts have successfully completed one of the most dangerous spacewalks ever attempted. The pair managed to fix a ripped solar wing that supplies power to the International Space Station. Future shuttle missions could have been in jeopardy if the job hadn't been successful. And that is it. We're back during Sunday edition, which starts at 9:25 tomorrow morning. But from me, good night.
The ITV National Weather is sponsored by E.ON, the energy behind power gen.
Hello, good evening. It's going to stay dry for most of us through tonight and tomorrow. There'll be some fog patches forming tonight, especially in the east, but they'll clear slowly tomorrow to leave some bright or sunny spells for most of us. So overnight tonight, it's a generally dry picture. There are some drizzly bits of rain working their way up the western side of the UK, but in the east, where the skies are clearer for a while, you'll see mist and fog patches forming, and that's where the temperatures will get lowest too. A touch of ground frost possible for some central and eastern parts tonight. The west is milder where you keep the blanket of cloud. And then tomorrow, it will be a misty start for some, but hopefully a few sunny spells breaking through during the day. The thicker cloud drifting up the northwestern side, so western Scotland rather grey and drizzly for a while. Temperatures for most of us are around 12. That's about 54.
The ITV National Weather is sponsored by E.ON, the energy behind power gen.
From factory girl to style icon to stunning screen goddess, Sienna Miller's got it all. She's British, she's beautiful, and now she's giving the most intimate interview of her career. There is only one Sienna Miller, Monday on GMTV.
London Weekend Weather is sponsored by Benson's for Beds.
Hello again. Conditions are fairly stable at the moment. We're holding on to dry weather with light winds. We are going to see some fog forming overnight tonight, but tomorrow will offer us a fair few sunny spells. Now let's have a look and put things in context courtesy of this Met Office chart here. And as you can see, we've got high pressure in control. That's why the conditions have been settled of late. But there is this weather front that's been working its way across our patch. That's introduced a little bit more cloud. And the high pressure is going to be moving away to the east. Another weather front tracks across us, and before too long we see another area of high pressure pushing in towards us from the west. That in turn means we're going to enjoy continuing settled conditions, certainly for the coming few days. Now overnight it's not going to be cold. Perhaps it is coldest up to the northwest of our patch. This is where we're going to see values getting down to around 6 degrees Celsius. Buckinghamshire, for example, most likely to see 1 or 2 fog patches forming as well. But elsewhere we're going to see values getting down to no lower than around 8 degrees. Now tomorrow could offer us a fairly misty start to things, but there will be some sunshine around. That in turn will burn off any mist patches. And by the afternoon it's a story of a fair bit of cloud, but some decent sunny breaks as well. Very light winds still, as I've said, and temperatures at best up to around 13 degrees Celsius. Now beyond that, as I mentioned earlier on, it is a fairly settled story. Dry and bright by day, fairly light winds, temperatures at best up to around 12 degrees Celsius. A very good night to you. Bye-bye.
London Weekend Weather is sponsored by Benson's for Beds.